Joining me is David Littleproud, leader of the Nationals. David Littleproud, thank you so much for joining me. What message are you taking from this global warming conference?
Oh, look, that technology is the answer, and we don't have all the answers provided to us here in Australia because of this senseless moratorium that still is in place around nuclear energy. When you've got over 20 countries telling us that we should not put all our energy eggs in one basket, that we do need to spread the risk. And when you have sovereignty of all your resources here, like we do in this country, we're not like Europe. We don't have to worry about Vladimir Putin cutting a tap off. We can invest in the technology, whether that be with carbon capture storage to protect and our traditional industries, gas and coal. Renewables are at a point now where I think we've hit saturation point, and they are now have lost their social license. We are destroying the very thing that they are there apparently to protect. We are knocking down native vegetation. We are knocking down prime agricultural land, and we're tearing up our food security in this reckless race to 82% renewables by 2030. We can pause, we can plan, and why don't we let the market decide? I have the courage of my conviction to back nuclear energy. And I'm prepared to back that and be proven wrong. But let's do it in the marketplace. Let's fight it out, Chris Bowen, in the marketplace and see what the market says. I think you'll find that the market is very, very energised about the opportunity that nuclear energy can provide to them in providing base load power. And I think you complement that with the other technologies like carbon capture storage, then I think we'll have a solid energy mix here that will reduce our energy bills. And that's what Australians want to see, some common sense and all the options being put on the table.
Now, like I said earlier, you're after an ending of the ban on nuclear power. You're not saying, you're going to build, if you're in coalition government, you're not going to build the nuclear reactors yourself. But would you want the government actually put any money, any subsidies, any preferential treatment, anything to allure the nuclear power industry here?
Well, if you're going to have all of the above and you're providing subsidies to renewables, then you should be being equitable in that marketplace and allowing all to have a look at it. But I've already seen where Deutsche Bank has made it clear that they have private investors that are prepared to go behind the meter and to build their own nuclear power plants. In fact, I had lunch with a coal miner from Queensland who made it very clear that they would be very interested in building their own small-scale modular nuclear reactor. They wouldn't ask for any government subsidy whatsoever. They just see this as a way also for them to get a premium for their coal if their operations are run off an emissions-free technology like nuclear. So this is where the market should have that opportunity, and as governments we should act now. And the Nationals have been on this for a long time, but I've got to say it's been Peter Dutton's courage that has brought the whole coalition to the table on this. We had 9 years to do something about it, and Scott Morrison didn't want to move on it, and I understood that the community wasn't there where the Nationals have been. But Peter Dutton has shown the courage of his leadership to take my hand and to take the coalition on a pathway to actually open this moratorium up. And when you are going to destroy a whole lot of natural environment and tear up your food security with this race to renewables that are going to need a lot of fossil fuels to run, you are aware that many of those turbines are run by many litres of oil every year to keep them turning. So let's just have some common sense. Let's pause and understand that we have sovereignty of our resources here. We can make a good fist of this if we use some common sense and have some courage.
And of course, those turbines last only about 20-25 years, so you need to do it all over again then. To the immigration detention crisis, David Littleproud, the High Court last month ordered the government to release a Burmese pedophile from detention because no other country would take him, and governments aren't allowed to punish people. Courts must do that. The government's now released 147 other detainees, many criminals, including murderers and rapists, for the same reason. It has now got a plan new law to get some of those rearrested if they've been convicted of serious crimes against the person and got a sentence of at least 7 years, posing a risk, of course, to the community. Would you vote for that?
Well, Well, we're actually working through the legislation and we'll probably make further amendments to strengthen up many of this latest bill. And they were going to let them run around this country without having any legislation done prior, and then was not going to track people who were murderers, who were pedophiles, rapists that were running around the streets. They lost one of them.
They've got this bill. Would you vote?
And we will work through that.
I saw Peter Dutton today saying it only is going to apply to about 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Is that the way you see it too?
And what we're trying to be is constructive like we were at the last bill and make further amendments to strengthen it, because obviously Giles and O'Neill have no idea, and it took Peter Dutton to intervene and to add amendments to it. So we're working through those amendments now, DNT and Peter Dutton, and we'll be going to the government in a cooperative way in saying that there is a better way of doing this, in making sure that we protect Australian people. That's our primary responsibility as legislators, is to protect your people. And so we'll work through that, and I know that there'll be some amendments that Peter and Dan will work through in the coming days.
Yeah, the government's saying, I think it's probably more than 4, but we shall see. Coles and Woolies are going to be grilled by a Senate inquiry over their market power and pricing decisions. Is there really some issue here, some scandal, some wrongdoing, or is this just politicians scapegoating supermarkets to make hay during the cost of living crisis?
No, these supermarkets are some of the worst corporates in Australia from my perspective, and I've seen what they've done to primary producers. Just to give you some simple facts, the cattle and sheep price dropped off a cliff around June, July, dropped off by about 60 to 70%. All that you have seen at the supermarket is around an 8% reduction since those prices came off. So someone's cleaning up. Now, grass-fed, it should have translated at the checkout straight away. Grain-fed, I acknowledge, it takes about 90 days for a beast to go through a feedlot and then come out the other end. But these supermarkets have form on this, not only in how they're treating the consumer at the moment, but more particularly how they treat our farmers. And you know, when you got producers producing watermelon for $1 a kilogram and they're charging $4, you got to say that someone's stitching up along the way. The farmers are taking their prices per the market, but these supermarkets are selling the very item that we need to exist. They're selling our food, and so we need to make sure that we have a sensible, transparent marketplace.
David Littleproud, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.